Hello and welcome to Just Trying Things. I'm your host JD. I'm also a small variety gaming streamer over on Twitch. There'll be a little bit more about that after this show if you're interested. But for now we are all very much about the music. And if you're very observant, yes, I am wearing the same clothes as on my last Jinjer reaction. That's because I recorded this immediately after that one. And that's because immediately after listening to someone's daughter, one, I listened to it again immediately because it slaps unbelievably hard, and two, I was like, stuff waiting another week before listening to more songs from this album. Good lord, I love Jinjer. So, with that in mind, I'll get into this fairly quickly. Small note on the format for anyone who is new here. I will be listening to this. This is my first time ever hearing this song. That said, I do like to do things a little bit differently from a lot of reactors. I like to offer a little bit of extra value. I'm very much a lyrics guy. I will be cutting in a later version of myself after kind of going through the lyrics to kind of offer up my interpretation. So myself, as you see me now, will basically just be rocking out to what will no doubt be another absolute belter, but I think we do Tatiana a disservice by not also paying attention to her lyric writing. I think she is one of the finest living songwriters in the English language, which, if that's not impressive enough, is also her third language. I mean, at least. I mean, as far as I know, a third. I'm not going to ramble any longer. That's future JD's job in between. I'm going to suggest this one is going to start out heavy. Why? Because the opening frame is the drummer. I mean, someone's daughter with one of their softer ones, so Hi, I'm JD's mostly useless English degree, and it's time to get into lyrics. Although, actually, before I do, you're going to hear First Listen JD describe this as classic heavy mode Jinjer. But I gotta say, having listened to it a couple of times now, if anything, this is maybe their most like dissonant, discordant composition that I've heard from them. It's really something. It is in the best possible way, hard on the ears at times. But anyway, their bread tastes like rock, joining circles of the dead, as I am drinking all the sewage of the damage they call hell. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed is king. They plants in their empty pots ugly rotten seeds in their empty pots. Collecting blood is his ambition. He sets so light the value upon lives. Each despicable decision activates his dreadful nights. This is a song, it seems to me, about a tyrannical leader and his followers, who are frankly equally to blame for the situation, as well as suffering for it themselves. So their bread tastes like rock. Like, they're not having any... Like, this isn't... The situation is not good, even for the followers. Joining the circles of the dead, as I am drinking all the sewage of the damage they call hell, which is a great line. I mean, drinking sewage is obviously a disgusting line, but the damage they call hell, that's a big part of, I think, the messaging of this song is that people taking something that is fundamentally bad for them and calling it good, and right, like it's a result. We'll get into this later, but it's a result of being fed a certain narrative and thinking that there's anything beneficial about it. In most cases in this world, largely because it's bad for somebody else. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed is king. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a cliche, but it works. Collecting blood is his ambition. He sets so light the value upon lives. Each despicable decision activates his dreadful knights. These dreadful knights, these followers, they're called to action by the cruelty of these leaders. It's this combination of the empty pot, the mindlessness, and the violence of these dreadful knights that is so damaging. They are ready for action, but with no discernment as to what they're doing, or why, or who they're following, and who even really benefits.
The bread tastes like rock, drawing circles of the dead. As I am drinking all the sewage of the damage that go out. And this water has become the Lord. Take a lesson, devils, fully loaded with his words, no thought of their own.
Classic full send heavy Jinjer. Verse 2 starts in the same place. Their blood and bread tastes like rock, joining the circles of the dead and drinking all the sewage of the damage they call help. And his order has become their thought. Take a listen. Their mouths are fully loaded with his words. No thought of their own arose. Really emphasizing those empty pots in verse 2. Collecting blood is his ambition. He sets a light upon the value upon lives. Each despicable decision activates his dreadful might. Shut up, take a listen. Take a listen, fully loaded. Shut up, take a listen, fully loaded, It's clear where in a world where so many people, a lot of people want power, right? And yes, the people in power are to blame for the way they use power and for the tactics they use to gain power, but their followers who give them the power. And I think that's fundamental. The giving of power to these leaders is just as much to blame. And this song is really giving a lot of focus to that. And again, the damage they call help, they're not any better off for their choices and for who they choose to follow and give their power over to. It's the kind, there's a kind of, people want to be successful, people want to be powerful, but most of them can't. That's almost by definition of what power means. But they live vicariously through the power of others. This is such a big part of how kind of identity politics has the power that it does. With the people, humans require a degree of social cohesion, and what they do is they find a character, and this doesn't have to be formally a political leader, but this is a public figure of some kind with whom they feel they can identify, live vicariously through their power, and of course that means that they want that person to gain more power, but it means that they can develop this kind of this lack of critical thought, and it's more important to them that they feel that sense of identification and identity and groupthink. His order has become their thought. Their mouths are fully loaded with his words. No thought of their own arose. I don't need to, be over intellectual in interpreting this. It's pretty dang clear. The sort of people latch onto the idea of a person, and the worse that person becomes in a position of power, because they have identified with them, the less they can admit fault in that person. And the need to live through that person and to feel social cohesion, which is massively powerful need in most humans. It drives so much of what we do, so much more than I think we realize. And people who latch on to this person, even if part of what they are latching onto is a perception of them as very smart and independent thinking, through living through that person instead of through themselves, they become nothing more than tools and pawns of that person, intellectually submissive nobodies, in order to try and feel something via that person that they could never hope to achieve themselves, whether because of their own inadequacy or, a societal disadvantage. If you're not born rich, you're probably never gonna be rich. But we can feel like we're on the side of having wealth and power, feel that we're the same as someone with wealth and power by identifying with someone who does. And so just losing all critical thought about that person. And there are so many examples. I said it doesn't have to be a political leader per se. I think this is something that has always been very, very true. And this is something that has happened time and again throughout history with, dictator after dictator, and this is hardly new. But in today's world, it's so much easier for someone who wasn't in a position of formalized power, and it looks very different and it feels very different to us. But it works in much the same way. I have never intended for this channel to be, about political commentary or any sort of, major issues-led sort of channel. It's just a reaction channel. It just turns out that a lot of the music I'm interested in is about stuff. So I'm not gonna list. I'm not gonna here to start any fights. I'm not gonna mention by name any of the kinds of people who have these kind of devoted followings of uncritical, intellectually submissive nobodies. I mean, what a terrible thing to call someone. I don't want to make anyone feel like they're personally being called out for following someone in that way, when it's a perfectly natural, normal human instinct and need for social cohesion and a desire to feel connected to power and therefore to feel powerful in oneself. It makes sense that you would follow certain people. It just makes the world a dramatically worse place when you do so without any kind of critical capacity. If there is anybody that you follow without ever feeling, I didn't love that. And that you praise online and that you would do anything for. I mean, you know, I have figures that I have all the respect in the world for. Tatiana is absolutely one of them. But I do have, depending how you read it, Someone's Daughter, which I reacted to just before this, as much as I love it, how do I feel about the undercurrent of gender essentialism and the identification of those feelings of softness as being feminine? I don't love it. I think Tatiana's amazing, but I'm not totally uncritical of the things that she's saying. Okay, I didn't actually say that in the last video, so I did appear pretty uncritical of it. The song is still great. And there's also every chance that I have read a thing into that isn't at all what she meant. The reason I didn't say it is because, in the context of other videos I've already done, it didn't need saying by me at that time. That's not what that song is about, and that was the song that I was concentrating on. But do I personally feel the need to defend everything that she says? If that did turn out to be a thing, like if I, you know, I have no idea what Tatiana's feelings are towards, for example, just trans people, or, you know, the men who are emotional and, you know, willing to have softness. Men who feel depression instead of just anger all the time. You know, if I found out that she were, you know, problematic in a way that I disapproved of, then I wouldn't make excuses for it or deny it. I'd still have a massive respect for the great things that she does, but it would be tempered with the knowledge that there's this other side. And that's okay. One of the things that people that lead people to really double down on their support for figures as they become more problematic is that because they have identified with this person, that means that if they recognize something problematic in that person, then that must be a problematic thing. That must be a fault in themselves too. If your mouth is fully loaded with someone else's words, and no thought of your own can arise without it causing conflict. And ultimately, people are creatures of habit. Certainly on an intellectual level we are. Unless we become uncomfortably aware of it, we will take the path of least resistance and not criticize something problematic in someone who we have identified with, because then we're criticizing ourselves. And people don't like that. People don't like seeing fault in themselves, and that's why they don't like seeing fault in someone that they identify with. That, and because it would be secondarily it would be additionally finding fault in themselves, because it would mean that they had made a bad choice of idol to worship. That was really long. Back to the song. Having fun with them time cinches there, lads. Whoops. Invigorating. last section before first listen JD plays us out. There's nothing left in his stone chest, just rogue and endless battles. Rogue, we are forcefully put on his map. War drum always rattles. There's nothing left in his stone chest. This is a person with power. Maybe they weren't even... There's nothing left in his stone chest. It might even not even have been that bad to start with. But power corrupts, and endless battles. Being forcefully put on his map. War drum always rattles. This character of power and idiocy that follows it so often leads to violence. It leads to damage. It leads to war, whether, you know, literal national war of actual bombings and invasions, or culture war, or in between those two things, the physical violence of the powerful and the oppressed. You don't get a positive outcome. Ooh, look at all that skin I'm showing. You don't get a positive outcome that serves everyone, that gives you peace in the world, from the powerless remaining powerless and everyone else giving over their power to those who already have it. Powerful people got there by using the power they had for their own gain, and giving over your own identity and intellect to someone who had a head start on you because something about them appealed to you. There's something about them that you identify with, even though you never had those advantages. We stand in a moment in history where anything could happen from right now. Without wanting to predict a future that I really can't see, we may very well be standing on the edge of climate disaster, World War III, any number of things that, given the amount of power that is now available to those who have any, could fundamentally change the way humans live for the rest of our time here. We are embroiled in our daily lives in one form of war or another, and so many people abdicate their responsibility to themselves and others because it is simpler in the moment and feels nicer in the moment. Untold harm is done to themselves and others, and we can't just keep allowing tyrants to plant their ugly rotten seeds in our empty pots. If we don't think for ourselves, power will not stop gathering. Power is an addiction to those who have it. And no one who has it is gonna care about anyone who doesn't. And they are psychopaths. It is a terrifying and horrifying time to be alive. Sorry if that was a bummer. Let's give it over to old Smiley Boy over here. He seems cheerful enough. Cheers. Sorry about all that. Have a good one. Very nice. Very, very nice. No notes. Oh, I've missed doing this. It is very much like classic heavy mode Jinjer. You can't fault it. I love a lot of my favorite songs by Jinjer do tend to be the less like to borrow a phrase from Metallica, full speed or nothing. Like I really enjoy when they are in slightly slower, softer, more considered mode. But it is just undeniable when they're in full send mode. It is it's a good time. It is a good time. My neck is gonna hurt tomorrow. Anyway, that'll about do it for that. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed my vibe in general today, please do feel free to swing by my Twitch channel, where I also can't speak. That's at twitch.tv/JDTillinghast. There will be a link in the description, along with a link to this original video, and also to Jinjer's Spotify. If you like it, like it. If you want more of it, subscribe to it. If you've got to say something, then say it in the comments. And if you want, you can click on one of the things that will come up and watch some more of it now. Thank you very much for watching, everyone.